top focus. Congress will hold nationwide protest tomorrow against centers in action over price rise, unemployment and unfair GST. Congress MPs will raise the issue of price rise and jobs in Parliament and then head towards Rashtrapati Bhavan. The party also plans to gherav the PM's residence. Congress has also slammed ED's questioning of its leader Mallikarjun Khadge in the money laundering case linked to the National Herald newspaper. Now, Jairam Ramesh has said that the ED action is to divert attention from tomorrow's protest. DCP of New Delhi has said that while they are aware of party's plans, so far they have only received a letter for protest at Jantar Mantar. Meanwhile, the BJP has slammed the Congress, saying that first the party loots, then protests.
हम इंटिमिडेट नहीं होंगे, हम नरेंद्र मोदी से नहीं डरते हैं। समझ गए बात? कर लें जो करना है, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा। जो हमारा काम है, राहुल जी जी बोलने दीजिए जी, ठीक है। जो मेरा काम है, देश की रक्षा करना, लोकतंत्र की रक्षा करना, देश में जो हार्मनी है उसको मेंटेन करना, वो मैं करता रहूंगा। ये कुछ भी कर लें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता।
कल कांग्रेस पार्टी की एक महा रैली है, प्रोटेस्ट रैली, प्रदर्शन है, न केवल दिल्ली में परंतु सारे राज्यों में भी है। महंगाई के खिलाफ, बेरोजगारी के खिलाफ, खाद्य पदार्थों पर जो जीएसटी लगाया गया है उसके खिलाफ, और उससे ध्यान हटाने के लिए मोदी सरकार ने यह ड्रामा रचा है। और आज खड़गे जी को बुलाया गया है, 7 घंटे हो गए हैं, 6.5 घंटे हो गए हैं। तो ये सब हैरेसमेंट है, ये धमकी की राजनीति है। इसको और मैं कुछ नहीं कह सकता हूं। ये प्रतिशोध की राजनीति है, ये धमकी की राजनीति है। और जो धमकी देते हैं, जो प्रतिशोध की राजनीति में विश्वास रखते हैं, वो डरे हुए हैं और मोदी सरकार डरी हुई है
कि जिस तरह से अमर्यादित आचरण कांग्रेस पार्टी द्वारा, राहुल गांधी द्वारा और उनके जो वरिष्ठ नेता हैं उनके द्वारा किया जा रहा है, यह कतई उचित नहीं है। पहले आप चोरी करेंगे, देश को लूटेंगे और उसके बाद पूरे देश में अराजकता फैलाने का प्रयास करेंगे। पहले चोरी फिर सीना जोरी।
Now, earlier there was a Congress-BJP face-off in Parliament over ED action in the National Herald case. Leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Khadge, asked why was he summoned by the ED when Parliament was in session. Leader of the House, Piyush Goyal, retorted, saying that the government does not interfere in the functioning of the ED. Mallikarjun Khadge, remember, was questioned by the ED for over 7 hours today.
ये सदन चल रहा है और पार्लियामेंट मैं एक सदस्य हूं और लीडर ऑफ द अपोजिशन पार्टी हूं, लेकिन मुझे इस वक्त पार्लियामेंट जब चल रहा है तो ईडी का समन आता है, आप जल्दी आइए। और दूसरी चीज,
प्रियंका जी डोंट डिस्टर्ब, प्रियंका जी डोंट डिस्टर्ब प्लीज।
और मुझे 12:30 को मुझे जाना है, क्योंकि मैं वो कानून के तहत मैं अवॉइड करना नहीं चाहता हूं, मैं कानून का पालन करना चाहता हूं। लेकिन इस वक्त ईडी बुलाना, मुझे समन करना जब पार्लियामेंट सदन है, चल रहा है, क्या ये उचित है? एक। और दूसरी चीज, पार्लियामेंट चलते वक्त ही कांग्रेस पार्टी के अध्यक्ष के घर को और राहुल जी के घर को नियरली
आप बैठिए
लोग जो दिल्ली के लोग घेराव डाले हैं और घर को, और इस जगह इस तरीके से अगर हम चलेंगे, क्या डेमोक्रेसी हमारी जीवित रहेगी?
सरकार कभी भी जो लॉ एनफोर्समेंट अथॉरिटीज है उसके काम में दखल अंदाज नहीं देती है। शायद इनके जमाने में जब इनकी सरकार चलती थी तो ये लोग इंटरफेयर करते होंगे।
All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Samya on the broadcast. Samya, Rahul Gandhi today said that I'm not scared of Narendra Modi. Whatever he does, I will fight for the country. I'll fight for the democracy. And we also saw a united opposition creating uproar in Parliament over ED's actions. Tomorrow is a big day because the Congress is taking to the streets on price rise and unemployment. What more can you tell us about what can be expected tomorrow?
Well, the former Congress President Rahul Gandhi today spoke to the media, and he almost, in a sense, dared the government to say that the Congress Party is going to be undeterred in their efforts to raise the issues of the people. Remember, the Congress Party-led opposition has consistently been raising the issue of price rise, unemployment, and the GST levied on food products. And this is exactly the issue for which several of the opposition MPs were also suspended from both the House of the Parliament. These are unprecedented scenes being witnessed in the monsoon session of the Parliament as it's still underway. But what I can tell you right now is, of course, as far as the ED summons are concerned, Sonia Gandhi cooperated with it. She was present for interrogation for over 3 days, and so was Rahul Gandhi. But today, when the leader of the opposition, Mallikarjun Khadge, had already put across a notice, and he was all set to place his statement on record as far as the price rise issue is concerned, or unemployment and GST levied on food prices, food products are concerned, all that was set to be discussed today in the Parliament when he got that call from the ED office and he had to rush, after which the entire opposition got really upset about the manner in which the LOP was called for the ED summons, and he was interrogated for 7 hours, as we are given to understand. The Congress Party, their opposition, has decided that they're not going to let this affect them or cow down to the government's pressure tactics. They feel that the ED is acting as the extended arm of the government to try and intimidate the opposition leaders and instill fear into them to muzzle the voices of criticism against the government and their policies. And they're not going to let this affect them or succumb under pressure per se. Tomorrow is an important day when the Congress Party across India have decided they are going to carry out, the state units are going to carry out a Raj Bhavan Ghirao, and then the MPs of the Congress Party are going to march from the Parliament towards the Rashtrapati Bhavan. And meanwhile, the other leaders of the Congress Party, the General Secretary in charges and the CWC leaders, are all going to try and make an attempt to ghirao the Prime Minister's house. Now, interesting over here is that the Delhi police has categorically made it clear to the Congress Party that there are no permissions granted to them. And that's the reason why this entire road outside the headquarters of 24 Akbar Road was fortified yesterday. And we could see similar scenes taking place tomorrow as well. They barricade the whole area. There can be a lot of protest turning violent. This is, remember, not a satyagraha. The Congress Party is even not calling it a case of satyagraha, but they're definitely maintaining that the protest is not on the misuse of ED. The Congress Party is specifying that they do not want to take away the focus from the issues of the people as far as the price rise, unemployment, and the GST being levied on food products are concerned. So tomorrow, then, the Congress Party leaders will be out on the streets. Their concept is from Sansad to Sarak. They want to raise the issue of the people, and they are not going to let the summons or the ED searches going to affect them in any manner.
All right. Thank you, Samya. We are also getting breaking inputs. Mallikarjun Khadge has reacted on this. Let's take a look. All right, the latest update is LOP Mallikarjun Khadge leaves National Herald building in Delhi after being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate. He tweets, and I quote, "I was summoned by ED while I was in Parliament questioning the incompetent Modi government. I obliged. I was to host dinner for Vice President election candidate Margaret Alva Ji. I was held back unreasonably by the Enforcement Directorate." To understand these developments better, I'm joined by Madhav on the broadcast. Madhav, Mallikarjun Khadge is the authorized representative for Young India that was raided, that was sealed and raided by the Enforcement Directorate. And today, Mallikarjun Khadge was also questioned by the ED. What more can you tell us about this development? Some hard-hitting words have been written by Mr. Khadge on his Twitter post.
Well, yes, Mr. Mallikarjun Khadge has said that he was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate while he was in Parliament questioning the incompetent Modi government. I obliged. Now, this is what Mallikarjun Khadge has said. He's also said that he was to host a dinner for Vice President election candidate Margaret Alva, and that was held back unreasonably by the ED, but he obliged. This is the charge coming in from the leader of opposition in the Raj Sabha. And in fact, he also says that, or alleges that this dictatorial regime can be rest assured that I can do this another 100 times if they want to make the process the punishment, I will embrace it. Resilience is in INC India's blood or the Congress's blood. The Congress's Twitter handle that he stacked, just like cowardice is in BJP. So strong words, strong allegation coming in from Mallikarjun Khadge. Remember that the Congress party today had said that Mr. Khadge, who was supposed to speak in the House as the leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha, was in fact asked or summoned by the ED at 12:30. The summons could have come perhaps for later in the day as well, but instead they chose to do it at a time that Mr. Khadge was scheduled to address the House. This is the information coming in from, in fact, from the allegation rather coming in from the Congress party. The government, for its part inside the House, also Piyush Goyal, the leader of House, has maintained that there is no coercion or no element of control of agencies by the central government, that all those who are guilty of crimes will have to go through the process of the law and order machinery, and that if there was any misuse of agency, all of that happened during the previous regimes of the Congress party. That was the allegation that had come in from the leader of the House. So the political fight, of course, the stage is set for it. While, of course, tomorrow there may be officially the reason given of GST rates as well as price rise, clearly the subtext of it will also be the fight as far as the misuse of agencies is concerned. And clearly with this, the Congress also in a very aggressive mode, with Rahul Gandhi also today saying that he will not be afraid, he will not be cowed down in any manner by any action that is done by any agency.
All right. Thank you, Madhav, for those updates. All right, shifting focus to our story number 2. China has deployed scores of planes and fired live missiles near Taiwan in its biggest ever drills in the Taiwan Strait in retaliation to U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taipei. China has said that it conducted precision missile strikes in the Taiwan Strait as part of the military exercises that have raised tensions in the region to the highest level in decades. In response to China's missile strikes, Taiwan's President Tsai has said that Taiwan is calm, rational and not provocative, but will not shirk. Now, meanwhile, Japan has claimed that ballistic missiles fired by China are also believed to have landed in its exclusive economic zone for the first time. This comes at a time when Nancy Pelosi has landed in Japan after her Taiwan trip.
我愿再次强调，当前台海局势出现任何紧张，都是美方一手造成的，其根源都是佩洛西出于一己私利、一意孤行、执意串台，严重违背一个中国政策。如果没有佩洛西串台事件，就不会走到今天的局面。对此，很多国家和很多媒体都是有十分清楚、客观和正确的认识，也都以不同的方式向美方提出了警告。美方如果真心的维护台海和平稳定，最重要、最关键的就是立即言行一致、不折不扣地恪守一个中国原则，遵守中美3个联合公报。
All right, let's listen to what some of the Taiwanese nationals have to say amid ongoing Chinese aggression.
If you want to win someone over, niceness and kindness works well, and the ensuing love and trust goes a long way. The display of anger, power, and threats only inflict anger, fear, and distrust. Any relationship built on anger, fear, and distrust is unpleasant and draining for both sides and does not last. We all know China has power, but where is its heart?
Somebody asked me, how do I feel about the China military exercise? Well, tell you the truth. People still have a good time eating, dating, and nobody's scared about that because too many times threatened the Taiwanese people. So just relax. May we have a peace and lovely days.
All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Srinjoy Chaudhary on the broadcast. Srinjoy, China's retaliatory measures are making global headlines, and why not? 11 ballistic missiles near Taiwan, and Japan also claims that some of these missiles have landed in their economic zones. This is massive. This is one of the largest drills that China has carried out in recent times. for the benefit of our viewers, could you take us through the actions China is taking and what is happening at the moment?
This was widely expected, and that China would fire missiles into the straits between Taiwan and the People's Republic of China. Now, these missiles were fired, 11, as you rightly said, but some of them have fallen in the Japanese EEZ as well. This way of telling Taiwan that, look here, Nancy Pelosi may have come and gone, but we are here, and we can do all these things. So take this as a warning. For 11 warnings, not just to Taiwan, but also to Japan. So this is something that expected from the Chinese. The other thing that the is really have military size using live ammunition, and Chinese Air Force, which means that for about days, 72 to 96 hours, it will be difficult to either fly into Taiwan or sail into Taiwan. Thirdly, the Chinese have stopped the import of 2,000 food-related products from Taiwan. This includes stuff like noodles, seafood, fish, and things like that. Now, this is again a way of saying that, again, don't forget that there are a lot of Taiwanese investing in China and vice versa. We are linked and we are one country. These are very heavy warnings to Taiwan, and we will have to see what more the Chinese will do. Initially, they had said a few things. Now, with the firing of the ballistic missiles into the straits and close to Japan, it's clear that the Chinese act.
All right. Thank you, Sanjay, for these updates. All right, moving on to our story number 3 that will directly impact you. It's Reserve Bank of India's credit policy announcement tomorrow. On the cards is yet another big hike in the repo rate. This amid high inflation that we've been seeing for the last several months. But a hike in repo rate means higher EMIs for you. To understand this development better, I'm joined by my colleague Avni Raja on the broadcast, who will take us through this. Avni, what can be expected tomorrow? Another credit policy announcement?
Well, that's right. In fact, last time round, the RBI did hike repo rate by 50 basis points, and that's quite what's going to be what's expected tomorrow as well. Now, the repo rate is essentially the rate at which banks borrow from the RBI. So when the RBI hikes this repo rate, it becomes that much more expensive for banks to borrow from the RBI. So what do the banks then have to do? The banks will then have to increase their interest rate so that when you and I borrow from the banks, we end up paying more for our EMIs. So our EMIs become more expensive. And this is an important tool really to fight inflation. And the RBI has made it very clear that it is not going to let up on that inflationary fight that we've been facing over the last several months. Because over a sustained period of time, when RBI hikes rates and EMIs and interest rates go up by the banks, the overall demand sort of comes down, and that eases the inflationary pressure that is there on the economy. So that is essentially the long-term goal as far as RBI is concerned. So that is what we're going to see. Aggressive rate hike coming in once again tomorrow is the larger expectation. RBI has made it very clear that this fight is going to continue. Also, what's going to be important to watch out for RBI's commentary on both GDP forecasts as well as on inflation, because remember, inflation, that is the consumer price index or retail inflation, has been well above the RBI's comfort zone ceiling of 6%. So that is going to be important to watch out for as well in terms of what the RBI is going to say. But inflation has eased off slightly, so there could be some softening in RBI's stance, but it is likely to be on a very cautious note. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Avni, for that. And another headline that we are getting is from England, where Bank of England has warned of recession. More than a year of recession. This is the big update that we are getting internationally. The UK economy will be plunging into recession for more than a year this autumn as rising energy prices push inflation above 13%. And this is one of the highest the steps that the Bank of England has taken in over 27 years, the rate hike that has happened and has warned of a recession in this year. All right, shifting focus to story number 4. Delhi-based journalist Siddique Kappan has been denied bail by Allahabad High Court today. He has been in jail since October 2020 when he was arrested while on his way to Hathras to report on the gang rape and murder of a 19-year-old woman. He has been booked under the UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. While denying bail, Justice observed that a perusal of the charge sheet and documents produced in court prima facie reveal that the applicant has committed the offence of trying to incite riots and use journalism as a cover to fulfill his ulterior motives. All right, so this is the latest as far as journalist Siddique Kappan is concerned. He's been denied bail by the Allahabad High Court. Remember, he has been in jail since October 2020 when he was arrested. He was on his way to report on the Hathras gang rape and murder of a 19-year-old woman. And he was booked under UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. And today the court observed that the evidence that has been presented in court prima facie reveals that the journalist, the applicant, committed the offence of trying to incite riots. All right, story number 5. Heavy rains have wreaked havoc in Kerala and disrupted the day-to-day lives of people. This as roads got flooded in many parts and many got displaced from their homes to relief camps. Rescue teams have shifted over 5,000 people to the camps. Over 200 houses have been damaged in the rain-caused flood fury. Now, the weather department has issued a red alert in 8 districts, including in Kottayam, Ernakulam, Idukki, Thrissur, Palakkad and Kannur. The famous Sabrimala temple has also suspended pilgrimage temporarily. 18 people have been reported dead so far in rain-related incidents. The National Testing Agency has also postponed the CUET exam in Kerala due to heavy rains. All right, so this is the latest that we are getting for you as far as Kerala rains are concerned. 18 dead in rain-related incidents. A red alert has been issued in 8 districts. Over 5,000 people have been moved to relief camps and there are 178 such relief camps across the state. Over 200 houses have been damaged. All right, let's move on. Mumbai police have seized more than 700 kilograms of drugs worth 1,400 crore rupees, the largest recovery of the synthetic stimulant drug in Maharashtra in the last 1 year. The drugs were seized after a raid at a drug manufacturing unit at Nalasopara in Palghar district. Now, 5 people have been arrested in this case, and the main accused is a 52-year-old man who holds a postgraduate degree in organic chemistry. After experimenting with various chemicals, he found out the formula of producing mephedrone. Meanwhile, in Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur, 250 grams of heroin was seized. All right, so this is the latest. We're talking about the drug seizure from Maharashtra to J&K. Drugs worth 1,400 crore rupees have been seized in Maharashtra, whereas in Udhampur, 250 grams of heroin has been seized. right, moving on. What can be called as a big relief to former Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray in the fight for who's the real Sena. The top court today told the Election Commission not to decide on a plea by rival Eknath Shinde, the Maharashtra Chief Minister, to recognize his group as the real Shiv Sena. However, the matter has been deferred for hearing on Monday, wherein the top court will decide on the need for a larger bench. Sources say that Chief Minister Shinde will hold a meeting with his legal team about today's hearing and decide future course of action. Now, trouble seems to be mounting for the Rauts in the Patra Chaul scam case. The Enforcement Directorate today summoned Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut's wife, Varsha. She will be quizzed by ED tomorrow at 11 a.m. She has been summoned with regards to money transactions in her account from Praveen Raut and few other unknown accounts. Sources say that she'd be confronted with Sanjay Raut and others during the deposition. During Thursday's hearing in the court, ED had said that an amount worth 1.08 crore rupees was received from Varsha Raut's account from unrelated people. The summons to Varsha came hours after Raut's ED remand was extended by the court in this case. All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Shweta on the broadcast. Shweta, tomorrow Varsha Raut is going to face the Enforcement Directorate. What is the exact line of investigation? What is her exact role in this money laundering case, alleged money laundering case? All right, I apologize to my viewers. It's not Shweta, but Abhishek who's joining us on the broadcast. Abhishek, what exactly is Varsha Raut's role for which she has been called to the Enforcement Directorate's office? What is it that she will be asked about? And what is her role in this alleged money laundering case?
Definitely, if we understand this, the attachment of properties made by ED in the month of April, and a press note issued at that given point clearly mentions the name Varsha Raut holds properties in Alibag. Even a flat in Dadar was seized by the Enforcement Directorate then. And that reason, in these 4 days remand, 4 days remand that they took for Sanjay Raut, it has come out in the investigation that there are several transactions in the bank account of Varsha Raut amounting to 1 crore 8 lakh. And that's the reason, and in fact, that transaction was questioned to Sanjay Raut, who has been evasive and is not answering that how this transaction happened and who were the person who transacted that amount. So definitely a joint interrogation is necessary. That's the reason Varsha Raut has been called tomorrow at 10:11 at Enforcement Directorate. And in fact, other players also, from whose account the amount was transferred to Varsha Raut, have also been summoned. And those are believed to be the landowners of the land which was sold to Varsha Raut. In fact, around 1.1 crore 17 lakhs is the amount of cash that was paid by Sanjay Raut to these sellers of that land, which has also come out of the investigation. So that was the ground for seeking of further custody. And in fact, these other peoples are also being questioned and summoned, will be summoned to understand the entire proceeds of the crime, how much money was laundered. And in fact, remember, 1,040 crores is the scam, and out of which the proceeds of the crime that has been given to Praveen Raut, the prime accused, who is in the judicial custody, is around 112 crores. And roughly around 3 crores is the money that is with the Raut family. And the transaction has been, clearly with the Enforcement Directorate, all the documents and bank transaction. But now is the need of interrogation. That's the reason the Varsha Raut has been tomorrow, and other players have also been summoned. So joint interrogation is necessary, and that will take place. So this is really crucial enough to understand what more comes in the investigation further. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Abhishek, for that information. Moving on, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee arrived in the national capital today for a packed 4-day visit along with her nephew, Abhishek Banerjee. TMC Supremo met the TMC leaders at Rajya Sabha MP Sukhendu Shekhar Roy's residence. Right after she landed, the TMC leaders called this meet an informal and irregular one. Mamata Banerjee is primarily visiting New Delhi to take part in the Niti Aayog session, which will be chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री ने हमें चाय पे बुलाया, ये हर सेशन में होता है। सबसे मिली, बातचीत किया कि कौन क्या कर रहा है, एक इनफॉर्मल सा है बैठक। कोई पॉलिसी डिसीजन की क्या उनको इंस्ट्रक्शन दिया कि सीएम सबसे मिले हैं, क्योंकि आफ्टर हमारे नेता हैं, सबसे मिले हैं, चाय पिया एक साथ।
पॉलिटिक्स और पार्लियामेंट के बारे में, दिल्ली के बारे में कोई बात नहीं हुआ। दीदी ने चाय पिया, हम लोगों ने चाय पिया, दीदी चले गए। दीदी तो हमारे साथ मुलाकात होते, जब जब दीदी आते दिल्ली, तब अगर पार्लियामेंट चलते तो हमारे एमपीओ के साथ मुलाकात होती। That's it.
No, we were having an informal meeting with the parliamentarians, and our national chairperson is here. Also, our national general secretary Abhishek Banerjee is here. Our leader Mamata Banerjee is here. So we have received certain instructions which we will be following in the next few days.
All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Adrija on the broadcast. Adrija, what more can you tell us about Mamata Banerjee's visit to the national capital and what's on her agenda?
Well, the 4-day visit that Mamata Banerjee is making in national capital, she has reached today and she has already met the MPs from her party. And as we have seen that, over informal tea, a few decisions regarding the ongoing parliamentary session was discussed. And also the roadmap towards 2024 election was also discussed in this informal meeting, is what we are getting to know. Apart from that, she is most likely to meet the Prime Minister Narendra Modi also tomorrow before the Niti Aayog session that takes place on Sunday. Now, Mamata Banerjee this time also will be in Delhi during the vice presidential elections. Now, however, her party has decided to abstain from voting, but her presence in the national capital does have a political significance. And also all this is happening in the background. One of the former TMC minister, Partho Chatterjee, is arrested and is presently at ED custody. He will be present in court tomorrow again. So, yeah, her full schedule, she will be most probably taking up certain issues that she has been raising for a couple of years in her meeting with the Prime Minister. She's also scheduled to meet Draupadi Murmu and also will be meeting the opposition leader Sonia Gandhi. That is all we're getting to know.
All right. Thank you, Adrija, for those updates. All right, breaking inputs coming in. More trouble for SpiceJet as aircraft leasing companies that have leased the aircraft to SpiceJet will now be allowed to reclaim their aircraft. Lessors have been claiming for their aircraft for quite some time now, and the civil aviation body has cleared the return of these aircraft. These Boeing aircraft will now be sent to Hyderabad. Meanwhile, SpiceJet has said that they plan to replace all its older Boeing aircraft with the new MAX model in a phased manner. Between now and next calendar year, SpiceJet will induct around 20 new MAX planes into its fleet. Within a few minutes of takeoff, a GoFirst flight had to return to Ahmedabad after it suffered a bird strike. The flight was scheduled to travel between Chandigarh and Ahmedabad shortly after departing from the Ahmedabad airport around 6:15 a.m. today. The plane suffered a bird hit that forced it to return. DGCA is investigating the matter.
This was a suspected bird hit to GoFirst flight G8911, and this was a flight that was traveling from Ahmedabad to Chandigarh. It was in engine number 1 that the suspected bird hit took place, and therefore the aircraft had to be turned around back to Ahmedabad. That's the information coming in. The DGCA, of course, saying that they will investigate into this entire issue. The airline saying that this is something that's beyond the control of whatever safety parameters are there, and therefore, of course, has to be treated as an incident that is quite routine as far as operations are concerned, and therefore it's It's not considered something that is out of the ordinary. Bird hits do take place is what sources in the airline have indicated to us. But nevertheless, yet another instance of a bird hit taking place as far as this particular flight is concerned, which would lead to the aircraft being turned around.
All right, in a huge relief for consumers, it's likely that the prices of edible oil will come down. Government has asked edible oil manufacturers and marketing companies to further slash prices. Sources say the price cut could be anywhere between 10 to 12 rupees and could take shape in the next 2 weeks.
This is a big development when it comes to the edible oil prices. The centre had a very important meeting with the key stakeholders that included edible oil manufacturers as well as the marketing companies. And the clear message that was given by the Secretary Food Ministry, who was chairing this meeting, he said that the conditions are such that the prices could be further reduced. And if it happens, we can see that the prices of edible oil can be further softened by around rupees 10 to 12 in coming 1 or 2 weeks, because the message that was given by the Secretary also included the fact that the prices in the international market, it has shown a decline. In addition, the availability of imported edible oil in the country, it is also there in surplus quantity. And riding on these two important factors, the government has said that the manufacturers or even the marketing companies, they can further reduce the prices of edible oil in the retail market as well as in the wholesale market. And if it happens, this will be a big relief to the common man, especially seeking the upcoming festive season.